Welcome back to the garden. So today I want to show you my 1 year's growth on my Tetrapanax T Rex. Now if you're new here, hello, my name is Gaz. So 12 months ago I aimed to get a tropical style garden here in the UK, which obviously we have a much colder climate than some countries, and it holds its own challenges, right? But today we're going to feature the Tetrapanax T Rex and go through all my trials and tribulations, some failures that I've had, but also some real good successes as well. So if you're thinking about getting one or thinking about tropical style garden, then please be sure to hit the notification bell, subscribe and all that sort of good stuff. We've got lots of content coming out very soon. So let's jump right into the video. So I planted this Tetrapanax back in 2024 and it was around May time, so it's been in just over 12 months and I cannot believe the growth. Everything online that says it's an absolute beast, if it's happy, then they're absolutely right. But they are a little bit temperamental, so let's just talk about some of the failings that I've had before we talk about some of the successes. So back in August 2024, I actually went ahead and I bought 3 more of these Tetrapanax T Rexes off Facebook Marketplace for around £7 each, was about an average price, right? But they were tiny. They got a decent root system, but there's a couple of mistakes that I made when I bought them, and I didn't realise that they were not in a pot, they were actually in a bag. Now the roots are really temperamental. So it is worth mentioning, from August till winter hit, they kind of looked okay. They didn't put any growth on because they were quite small. My trouble started in the winter. Now they are really root temperamental. They don't like central heating, so don't bring them inside. And it's just one big mistake that I made. They actually looked really good for it when I first brought them in, because I didn't want the frost on them with them being so young. So everything you read online says protect from frost when they're young. If you've got a good large stem on it, then you can keep it out and just protect the actual crown itself. So I was thinking, right, well, if it's small, it's got to come in, right? Wrong. You need to leave it outside in the cold. So if you've got an unheated greenhouse, that's almost perfect with just a little bit of fleece over them. So that's the first mistake I made, over caring for it over winter. Brought them in, kept them well watered, and to begin with, they put on some really, really good growth. But I quickly realised that something was pretty much wrong with all of them. Now, they were hating the central heating, even though they were in quite a cool place in the house, and they pretty much stopped growing. Right, and I actually went on to lose 2 out of the 3 plants, even though they weren't frosted. They were in a frost-free environment. They did really well initially, so when I bought them. So the mistakes I made was, I think I bought them too small at the wrong time of year. If I was to buy them that size very early on in spring, I don't think I'd have any issues with them at all. So if you think about buying a small Tetrapanax, then pop it in the ground in spring, feed it lots, water it lots. I see lots online about some being happy in the same spot and some not. Again, I think it's all to do with the root systems. They do require a lot of water, and a lot of water in spring and summer, but I don't think they like it overwatering in the winter. I think it's easily for them to rot off and get some sort of disease within the root systems. My sole survivor, and it's actually started to do really well. This is my other Tetrapanax T Rex. Now, it's really important that you keep them really well watered in the summer, and I know some people are going to say, well, too much water is going to hurt them, and I agree with that in certain times of the year. All they need now is to be properly hydrated and really well fed. So just clearing up the grow bag comment. So what I mean by that is, it wasn't as well draining as a pot, and I didn't really notice that until sort of afterwards, although it did have a few drainage holes, and it got quite wet quite quick. So I think potentially the compost that it was potted into I didn't have enough sand in, really, and that just created a little bit of an issue within that. So I think that was possibly one of the reasons which helps to the situation I found myself in beginning of spring, really. So even though this looks absolutely spectacular, even with my experience within gardening, right, but not necessarily Tetrapanax, I've only had a 50% ratio of actually surviving, which is pretty poor, right? So I've had 4 plants and only 2 have actually come through. But I think that's just the way things go sometimes. Sometimes you buy things at the wrong time of year and you just make some decisions based on good solid gardening advice really, but some plants just simply don't suit it, and this is certainly one of them. So let's talk about the positives. This went in last year and it had probably less than 3 inches of an actual stem and about 3 very, very small leaves. It's actually smaller than the one plant that I've just showed you. Now, as you can see now, it's absolutely fantastic. Did get a lot of slug damage early on, so as soon as the actual leaves come off the floor and started becoming proud and reaching for the sky, then the slug damage got less and less on the leaves, but they tend to leave the stem alone, which is obviously a real good bonus. Now this currently is around about 18 inches tall, so it's put on a good sort of 15 16 inches growth within 1 year, and I certainly won't be worrying too much about this over winter, although I will be putting a little, it's just coming on to rain, I will be putting a little bit of fleece ball just around the crown, not on the stem, just to protect it on them harsher nights. Just brought you guys into some house really quickly, so I hope this has added some value to the video for you and you got some information. So things that I have fed them, I've actually fed them a lot of chicken manure, so anything high in nitrogen will really help with that growth, and I have given it lots and lots and lots of water, particularly that we've had a really dry spring in 2025, and I've given the whole garden really quite a lot. So like I said, this is just 12 months old, so this one plant I have, you can times that by 50, right? So if you are thinking about how much you can achieve within 1 year, then I highly recommend that you just give us a follow, because a lot of the channels on here are great and I follow a lot, but we're all looking at really mature gardens, right? So I just want to show you something that you guys can achieve within 12 months that's an actual realistic end to it as well. So if you did like it, then please give it a big thumbs up, as it really does help the channel out, and drop a comment down below as it helps share it out to others who love gardening just like we do. But until next time, we'll see you in the garden. You take care, guys.